Call to order the March 20th meeting of the Bridgewater Township Council. In compliance with the open Please stand with me if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have minutes for approval of March 6th, regular session. Any last-minute changes? If not, could I have a motion on those minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve March 6th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Township Council reports. Let's start with Councilman Pedroso, please.
Oh. Hi, good evening. So nice to see so many faces here tonight. I see a lot of men and women from our police department. Just want to start off by saying thank you all for your service to our township. We are very lucky and fortunate to have you. Good evening, Chief. See you here all the time, so it's nothing new. Officer Allett, we're going to talk more about you later on, but amazing. Thank you so much. We're honored to have a hometown hero here in Bridgewater Township. I'm sure that there'll be other people who have a lot of things to say about you, but really amazing. So thank you so much. All right. So I attended the Bridgewater Raritan Board of Education meeting this past Tuesday, and I spoke out against policy 5756, a well-intentioned but deeply flawed policy that unfairly prioritizes transgender rights over those of cisgender girls. Although I had to leave the meeting a little early after I spoke, I did watch the remainder of the meeting on YouTube. I'd like to share with you some thoughts and perceptions that I gathered from this experience. First, I want to emphasize that I strongly believe that every student, irrespective of their gender identification, or any other matters, deserves respect and protection from discrimination. However, this policy 5756 forces female students to share bathrooms and locker rooms with individuals who are identified as male at birth, but now identify as female, disregarding cisgender girls' discomfort, concerns, and rights. It also undermines fairness in sports by allowing biologically male athletes to compete against cisgender girls, putting them at an undeniable disadvantage in many sports. Protecting one group's rights should not mean erasing safeguards for another. Additionally, policy 5756 wrongfully excludes parents from their child's gender-related decisions at school, prohibiting teachers and staff from sharing vital information to the parents that impacts their child's welfare. While some families may struggle with these gender-based conversations, most parents would and do offer the love and guidance their child needs. Cutting them out only causes more harm than good. I do not oppose transgender students, and I do not judge anyone and their family for what they have deemed appropriate for them. However, I did request that the board revoke a policy that is clearly discriminatory. The board should revoke policy 5756. I want to commend Board of Education members Jeremy Lee and Lucy Lee for their courage in calling for the revocation of this blatantly discriminatory policy. They have shown true leadership by standing up for what is right. I also appreciate board member Jennifer Loughran for at least acknowledging that policy 5756 needs revisions and attempting to push for change, while Emily Calistri appeared open to finding solutions. Unfortunately, it was clear that the rest of the board, the majority of the members, remain indifferent to the rights of girls, prioritizing special interests over fairness and common sense. It was also concerning to witness Superintendent Beers repeatedly interjecting during the meeting, pushing his own biased agenda instead of allowing the board to deliberate independently. His overreach blurred the lines between his role as an administrator and that of a board member. While it's up to the Board of Education to address this issue, it was a troubling dynamic that only reinforced the need for strong leadership willing to stand up for all students, especially the girls whose rights this policy disregards. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Kirsch, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few very brief items. I know we have a packed house for a later agenda item. Reporting on land use matters on March 11th, the zoning board met. An additional consideration of the Starbucks application on 22 at Morgan Lane. That application now has primary access via the restaurant that's next door, that's in the process of opening, creating less risk of a queue onto Route 22 and the associated traffic challenges. But that application will be heard at least one more time. And the 821 Bridgewater LLC case, which is along 202-206, adjacent to the JCC property. There was some additional time spent there. A new traffic engineer was brought on, but that will also have additional time before the Board of Adjustment. 2 nights ago, the Planning Board met. That is going to be covered, I believe, as we discuss the introduction of Ordinance 11A. That is the 1200 Route 22 property. I'll reserve my comments until we get to that point. Had a meeting with the president of the Bridgewater baseball and softball organization, and there are some fairly urgent field-related needs that I will be pursuing on their behalf. And also had an informal meeting earlier this week. The first step as part of our 2025 roads program. Certainly our hope that we can continue our commitment there and provide additional safety as it relates to driving our local roads. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ring.
Thank you. I'm going to be I will be extremely brief. Participated in a meeting on the 2025 roads program today, and we'll have more to talk about that in the future, and that's my report.
Great report. Thank you. My report is as follows. At the last council meeting, there was a question from the audience about the balance in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Mr. Pappas has confirmed that the amount is $2,060,274. Holi is the major Hindu festival celebrated on March 13th or 14th as the festival of colors, love, and spring in celebration of the eternal and divine love of the deities Radha and Krishna. Additionally, the day signifies the triumph of good over evil. March 14th was Pi Day, and I don't mean apple or blueberry. It is the mathematic relationship of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. The symbol was devised by a British mathematician back in 1706, and for completeness, it is normally carried out. It starts with 3.1415. It is normally carried out to 39 decimal places. If anybody wants to see them, I have them, and I can share them with you later, if you love math. I, along with Councilman Kirsch, attended a conference with Administrator Pappas, Deputy Administrator Stevens, Director Genova, and DPW Superintendent Ship, as we continue to develop the criteria for a professional engineering firm to assist us in the critical evaluation of both our long-serving sewer pumping stations. In the past, you have heard the names Gilbride and Middlebrook pumping stations, and you will continue to hear them throughout the rest of this year. Happy spring. It came at 5:01 this morning. With spring comes the next step in the planning, the 5th year of our 5-year Township Road Improvement Program. So far, this $40 million project has received widespread resident approval. We are playing catch-up after many years of Band-Aids where patches were used as a proxy for genuine road improvement. After the budget is affirmed, we will again consider an $8 million budget ordinance to complete the project. For those of you who keep a calendar of council meetings, the council meeting of June 6th will be canceled. The room is needed for early voting. Instead, it will be moved to the following week, June 12th. So if you have June 6th, strike it off. If you haven't, add June 12th. Okay, mayor's report, please.
Real quick, just to your comment about the June meeting, that was not originally caught on the schedule because
They didn't tell us.
They moved, they moved the primary.
they moved the primary back a week after our
yeah.
council meeting schedule was set.
We were right, they moved it, and Mr. President, I believe that is Thursday, June 13th, rather than the 12th.
Mayor's report, sir.
Thank you. In light of the fact that we have a large crowd here, I'm going to keep my remarks just to 2 items to report at the moment. The first is that it was my honor last week to be invited to the White House to attend a St. Patrick's Day event that was held with the Prime Minister of Ireland, not called the Prime Minister. I can't remember what the title is. Taoiseach, there you go. And with President Trump, who gave remarks. Both leaders gave remarks in the White House. I also had an opportunity to meet with the White House IGA staff. That's the staff that's in charge of the relationships between the White House and local and state government officials with regard to making sure we knew who to contact if we in Bridgewater needed help from the White House with regard to whatever our policy concerns may be. So I was also had an opportunity to meet the Secret Service Director, Sean Kern, and the whole experience was my first time being in the White House. It was an amazing experience. I was very honored to be invited. I thank the President and his staff for the invitation. And the other item that I just wanted to comment on, following up on Councilman Pedroso's report from the meeting last night, I think the biggest concern, quite frankly, I think, is the conduct of Superintendent Beers, who seems to forget he is not elected by the public of Bridgewater and Raritan. He is a public employee. No matter how you feel about the issue on Policy 5657 or how you feel about any of the policies in the town, it's the elected officials. You vote for those people who agree with your opinion on that subject or any other subject. And they're the ones that set policy, not an overpaid bureaucrat. So I thank the board members who reminded Superintendent Beers that he works for us, not us for them. So with those 2 comments, that's all I have for this evening. And I'll turn it back to Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're up to item number 7, which is a proclamation, and a lot of you came tonight, but let me share some comments. It is a privilege for us to be able to honor Officer Noah Alat and the heroism he demonstrated earlier this month. We welcome Noah, his family, his fellow officers, and the Bridgewater Police leadership, especially Chief Mitzak, for this really momentous occasion. Noah will be receiving 3 separate commendations today. The Mayor's Award for Exceptional Public Service, of which he is the inaugural recipient, a proclamation from the Town Council, and the Award of Valor from the Bridgewater Police Department. But before we move on, I'd like to ask Councilman Ring to recognize the other emergency folks who are here in the room and who helped respond to that function.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight is certainly about Officer Elite and his actions earlier this month, but I've been a long-time first responder, as many of you may know, and it comforts me to know that we have folks like him out there looking out for our community. Having said that, there are still, an individual was removed from a car and still had to be treated and a fire put out. So we would be remiss tonight if we didn't also at least acknowledge and thank the emergency service organizations that responded that night, starting with, first of all, your fellow police officers, men and women of the Bridgewater Police Department, along with the Martinsville Fire Department, the Greenville Rescue Squad, Martinsville Rescue Squad, Findern Fire Department, Greenville Fire Department, as well as paramedics from the hospital, as well as the Somerset County Fire and EMS coordinators from the Office of Emergency Management. And so to each and every one of those other agencies that responded, thank you. I know many are in the audience tonight. We know it was a challenging scene, but we appreciate your efforts not only earlier this month, but day in and day out, what you do for the township. So thank you.
Thanks, Tim. As a volunteer fireman myself for many years, I've approached many car fires, and I always have a heavy jacket, a helmet, gloves, boots, and preferably a hose. And for this officer to approach that with his uniform, I don't think the bulletproof vest does a heck of a lot, but we're proud of you. Now, without further ado, I'd like to turn the podium over to the mayor for his share of the proclamation.
Thank you, Howard. Before I turn to the script, I'd just like to ask if everybody who responded there that night who's in the room, if you could just stand so we can acknowledge you all if you were one of the folks who assisted as a first responder that day. So. Thank you all. As mayor, I get to go to, I get invited to a lot of the installation dinners for the fire departments and for the rescue squads. And the fire departments especially tend to do very, video montages throughout the, showing their calls throughout the year. And when you see some of the calls that they answer and our entire EMS and first responder and firefighter community is really amazing. So thank you all for what you did that evening and what you do every day. Turning back to the script so the staff doesn't start panicking that I'm off script already. It's truly a privilege to be here tonight to honor Noah, his heroism, his dedication to all the, and dedication of all the Bridgewater police officers. I think before we say anything more, the best thing we'll do is let Noah's actions speak for themselves, and we have a video we've put together.
I haven't tried been working fire. What?
Sorry, we're going to start over. I apologize.
Driver of the white car.
County 11. I haven't tried been working fire. What's in the tanker?
Nothing. It's empty right now. But there was a diesel kerosene mix in it last night. Or yesterday.
Is it? Can I go up to it?
You could go up to it. I just don't know if it's going to be.
I tell you, it was always one of my fears when I was on the road is a car catching on fire and people in there and I couldn't help them. That was always my biggest fear. So to make that split-second decision with that right in front of him, he didn't know if that car could have blown up, the tanker could have blown up, but to make that approach and do that, it was heroic.
One of the most important things I do as mayor is swear in our new police officers. It's something that I take incredibly seriously, and it means a lot to me because these men and women are the individuals who are protecting my kids, my family, and everyone in our community. And we never know when it's going to be our family members trapped in a car. And we never know when it's going to be Noah called upon to save our kids from those kind of situations. That's why it's so important to make sure that we honor Noah and all the men and women of the Bridgewater Police Department each and every day of the year here in Bridgewater. And that's also why we want to make sure that our residents know what Noah did that night on Route 22.
So when I came into work on Thursday morning, I was briefed on what Noah did that night. And I was extremely proud of Noah for his actions. I wanted to show the whole picture of what he did that night, and it was outstanding.
I've known Officer Allett for about 5 years now, since he got hired here.
So I've known Noah about 4 years now. Great guy, great volunteer fireman too.
When I saw the video, I wasn't surprised at all.
He cares about this community. He's local to this area, and I think that's what drives him to be the great police officer that he is.
He gets satisfaction out of doing a great job. That's all it is. He doesn't need the recognition. Never did. Never will.
I think for me personally, if I called for help or if someone I love called for help, I would want somebody to come and care and do the right thing.
But on a bigger picture, I was proud for the profession, and I was proud of the Bridgewater Township Police Department.
You know, that person that's in that vehicle is somebody's mother, father, brother, sister, and I wouldn't want to lose a family member. And if there's something that I can do to make sure that that person that's in that burning vehicle comes back home to their loved ones, I'm gonna do it.
Why Noah went to that car that night, and why I feel any officer that works in Bridgewater Township would go to that car that night is because of the oath of office that we take. And we take that oath seriously, and we live by that oath.
It's not just a job, it's not just a profession, it's a calling.
We go to the fires, we go to the danger, and we're obligated to do that.
I think what makes a police officer different than a civilian would be their willingness to kind of lay it out for a stranger.
On the night of the crash, it was around 2:11 a.m. in the morning on Route 22 westbound in the area of Chimney Rock Road. Officer Allett was on a call. I think he was on a rescue squad call. He spoke with somebody in the rescue squad and said, "Hey, do you need me? Because I need to go to this call." So he left that call and proceeded to the call on Route 22. What happened was a tanker truck pulled out of the Speedway gas station. At the time, an automobile came up 22 West at a high rate of speed, and for unknown reasons ran into the back of this tanker truck. The car caught on fire. The engine compartment of the car caught on fire. He responded for 22 eastbound, so as he was coming up, he could see the crash and the fire on the westbound side. Looks like he made a U-turn at Vassar Avenue. Several hundred yards behind the burning car.
We're starting on 91. Coming from Milltown, be a minute.
Yo.
We're starting on Mountain Avenue. You want me to go to Towson?
Are you the only one in the car? Are you the only? Where are they?
One of five for Towson.
Yo, come here. Come to me. County 11. I have entrapment, working fire. What's in the tanker?
Nothing. It's empty right now. But there was a diesel kerosene mix in it last night or yesterday.
Can I go up to it?
You can go up to it. I just don't know if it's going to be.
That's why you became a police officer. It's just in our DNA. Yeah, you're afraid, but you don't hesitate. You do what you have to do.
Yo, buddy.
aircraft.
Hey, firm. Everybody's out.
It's kind of hard to follow that. You know, it really is amazing when you get to see what our officers do every day. And, you know, I want to thank the Bridgewater Police Department for their help in putting together the video, especially Charles Mendoza, who does a lot of the redaction work for us to help make that video possible, along with our Office of Constituent Relations team that helps to do this. And before we invite Noah to come up, I think it's important to know a couple quick things. The first is that, I understand from our folks that Noah wasn't, didn't want all the attention on him. He agreed to the video as long as we made sure it was very clear that this is what our officers are asked to do, or may be asked to do, every single day. This one happens to be caught on camera. It happens to be maybe a little bit more dramatic than, and it turned out okay. But this is what our officers, every day they go out, this is what they may be called upon to do. And we get to honor Noah tonight, but it's an entire team of people led by our chief and our command staff and everybody from the top down who create a culture that has our officers respond in that way. So thank you to all of our police officers, and thank you, Chief, for your leadership with our department. Thank you. The other thing I always think about, and I commented with one of the videos that we had done, that I stood up here in September. You were sworn in 2020, I think it was, and I always want to promise and thank the families for lending us their officers, and thank you, because these things turn out okay, but you worry more than we do, and we thank you for giving him to us, and so he can save that person's life because of him, and there'll be plenty more throughout his career. So thank you for your support of him and giving him to us and letting him protect our community. We really appreciate it. So thank you. So now I'm going to invite Noah to come up and actually receive your award. This is the first award that we're giving. We're going to give out. I'm going to ask the chief to come up as well, and we're going to give you the award and officially thank you for your service. So we're going to have the award is over here. So, Council President, you want to come down as well? We'll get pictures with everybody. Don't worry. We'll get every combination of people out here. So Noah, this is the first. You'll be the first. Get over here so I'm not blocking the pictures. Listen, I'm still a politician. I know how this works. We got to get good pictures here for you. I don't want the family to be upset that I'm blocking it. But so this is our first award. This is the Mayor's Award for Exceptional Public Service. This is an award that we're going to be giving out not just to police officers or firefighters or rescue squad members, but for anybody in our community who goes above and beyond in service to our community. And we're absolutely honored that you'll be the first recipient of this award. So thank you very much.
Mayor, did you warn him while it may be his evening, he should follow Suzanne's directions as to where to stand for pictures?
This is the plaque that will go up. So that's yours to keep. This is the one that goes out to the municipal building. I'll have everybody's name who receives this award. This is the kind of thing that we'll give it out when some actions merit it. It's not a certain number a year. It could be 1 year we have a lot more. It could be 1 year we have none. We'll give it out when someone's actions rise. Council President and speak, as well as the chief. And Noah, there's nowhere on the script here where it says give the microphone to you, but we're talking a lot about you. If you want to say something, the microphone's yours. Are you sure? All right.
So no, it's not over yet. This is the proclamation honoring Bridgewater Police Officer Noah Lott as the inaugural recipient of the Mayor's Award and Exceptional Public Service. Whereas the safety and well-being of the residents of Bridgewater Township depend on the dedication, bravery, and selfless services of our law enforcement officers. And whereas on March 5th, 2025, at approximately 2 a.m., Officer Noah Lott of the Bridgewater Township Police Department responded to a motor vehicle collision westbound on Route 22 involving a diesel tanker truck and a passenger sedan. And whereas upon arrival, Officer Lott found the sedan's engine block engulfed in flames, the vehicle having crashed into the rear of the tanker truck. And whereas without hesitation and with complete disregard for his own safety, Officer Lott ran towards the burning vehicles and discovered the driver of the sedan unconscious in the driver's seat. And whereas demonstrating extraordinary courage and decisiveness and selflessness, Officer Lott extricated the unconscious driver and dragged him to safety, thereby saving his life mere moments before the flames consumed the vehicle. And whereas Officer Lott's decision and decisive and heroic actions reflect the highest standards of the Bridgewater Township Police Department and serve as the inspiring example of duty, service, and bravery. And whereas in the recognition of his extraordinary courage and unwavering commitment to the safety of Bridgewater community, got to turn page. Yeah. The Bridgewater Township Council is proud to present Officer Lott with the inaugural Mayor's Award for Exceptional Public Service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Bridgewater Town Council, on behalf of all residents, do hereby commend and honor Officer Noah Lott for his heroic and selfless actions, which have brought great credit upon himself, the Bridgewater Township Police Department, and the entire community. Officer, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for your picture.
That's one I'm happy to take.
Get my stuff out of the way.
Over here.
Howard, you coming up here?
Yes, sir. I'll stand behind Philippe.
I'll stand there.
Maybe you're not, but follow her direction.
All right, me first.
still here. All right. One nice thing to say about you now. Okay. It is my privilege and honor to stand before everyone here tonight to present a distinguished officer with a Medal of Valor, an award reserved for those whose actions transcend ordinary expectations and elevate the standards of heroism within our profession. Today we recognize Officer Allett, or Elite, or a lot, for his extraordinary courage and selflessness during an incident that has become a beacon of what it means to serve and protect. On March 5th, Officer Allett responded to a call that would test his skills, instincts, and most of all, his bravery. As we all know, fires, as you guys know, are unpredictable, chaotic, and often terrifying. Yet, without hesitation, Officer Allett raced towards a burning vehicle, its flames engulfing the car, and without thinking of his own safety, managed to extract an individual that was trapped inside the vehicle. His swift actions not only saved a life, but exemplify what it means to be a protector, a true guardian of the public. Major news outlets, and I mean major news outlets, Fox News, Bill Hemmer wanted to get him a car in New York. Michael Strahan wanted to interview him on Good Morning America, so he was big time. So they recognized the magnitude of this heroic act and sought to interview Officer Allett in the days that followed. They wanted to hear his story, to capture the essence of his bravery on camera, and to share with the world the profound impact of his actions. However, Officer Allett humbly refused, stating, and I quote, "Just doing my job." In these simple words, we see the true nature of his character. He did not seek fame, recognition, or accolades. His singular focus was on doing what was needed to be done within a second, without a second thought of seeking a spotlight. This humility is what makes his actions all the more remarkable, and is what makes him a role model not only for this department, but for our entire profession. Officer Allett's actions have brought pride to this department and to the law enforcement community at large. His commitment to duty, his selflessness in the face of danger, and his unwavering sense of responsibility represent the very best of who we are as officers. He has reminded us all that sometimes heroism is not about seeking recognition, but about doing what is right when it matters the most. Today, we celebrate his courage, but most importantly, we honor the spirit of his service he represents, a spirit that each and every one of us in this room can strive to emulate. Officer Allett, your bravery in the face of danger has saved a life, brought honor to your department, and reinforced the value of integrity in this profession. All right. It is with deep admiration and respect that I present to you the Medal of Valor. Thank you for your selfless service and for making us all proud to wear this badge. Your captain will be presenting you with the award.
You're better off just listening to her, trust me. And Ty's not in the picture.
I'll get one with you guys and then I'll jump.
I think they're going to call you down there.
Someone else got to take a picture.
Let me turn this around.
Yeah, please. Now, for those of you who are here for the recognition, feel free to stay if you like, but you don't have to.
Sorry, that was my natural instinct, too. Because I support our men in blood. I don't just talk it, I demonstrate it. I know, I'm just saying. What's that?
Administrator Pappas has a few more items he'd like to add to reports.
Yes. The council sees on the agenda is a presentation, and I'd like to pass the document to the council. We, as we have been reporting, and the council has been acting on some components of an affordable housing plan for Bridgewater Township. This document is a memo from Darlene Green, our affordable housing planner, and a diagram of the property that the township owns on Whitney Court that portrays the elevation, the image of the structure that would be constructed there, 5 dwelling units, and the approximate location of the structure on the lot. And as has been our practice, in order for the township to engage in this with a nonprofit organization called CCC that has a long history of providing for housing for various individuals throughout the state, this would require an ordinance that the council would need to introduce and allow for the transaction of this property. So that would be the sum and substance of the presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. It has been our policy for new ordinances to actually have 3 parts. There'd be a formal presentation before the council, sometimes also in closed session, and then followed at a future time by an introduction, and then later by an adoption. Does anyone have any questions for?
Yes, I do. So in reading this memo very briefly, it outlines that we would receive 5 credits, and with the new rules, 5 bonus for a total of 10 credits. When I look at the actual diagram, we've got a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom. I'm counting that as 3 units, and I'm just wondering.
I think there's some on the second level, but
There's
it
2
would.
floors.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you. I just wanted to.
Clarify that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Pappas. We're now moving to.
If I can.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
While I have your attention, there are just a couple of other things I wanted to mention. The previous 1 or 2 council meetings, there have been some members of the public that have made some statements or offered some questions, and I just wanted to address some of those here very, very briefly. One was, I think it was at the last meeting, there was a question about assessments and how the property assessments are achieved here in Bridgewater. I do have, I knew the answer to this question, but did obtain a very detailed report from our assessor, Tony Dorado. It is an attached, there are several documents, a summarization of the state statute that outlines the statutory requirements for assessors in every municipality, and that the administration, the governing body, does not have any direct role over assessments. It's all regulated by the State Division of Taxation. So I will be forwarding this to the individual that had raised that at the last meeting. Additionally, there was a member of the public or a couple of members of the public that spoke about the concern that they had about political signs that had been stolen. And I did receive a report from the police department, and that there were a number of signs stolen off of lawns that were reported. There may be others, and the police department can only act when they are made aware of such a concern. And I think there was at least one individual that was identified and process that would have to ensue about how that individual would be dealt with. So those things are not ignored by the township, but obviously they have to be reported in order for the municipality to respond. The other point that was made, or comment made about our emergency responders, and an important component of the township, whether it's the police department or fire rescue responders, to respond and then communicate, and that is with the use of radios. And there is a new requirement that the county has issued to emergency responding agencies that is really in response to an FCC requirement. And so the township had been contacted by one of our federal representatives, and we have submitted back on the 11th of March a summarization of what we hope to be a grant that we are seeking $4.2 million that would outfit the police department, fire and rescue, and also our public works department, because in times of emergencies such as hurricanes, they are an important part of the township team that would respond and deal with emergencies, natural disasters. So that is something that we have submitted, and hoping that there will be some success there. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now up to item 9 on the agenda, which is the meeting open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 3 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. May I have a motion to open to the public, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're open to the public. If you wish to address, please come forward, sign your name and your name and address, and please speak up.
I need to sign the sheet?
Please.
Good evening, council members. My name is Curtis Kraut. I live at 199 Adamsville Road in Bridgewater. I attended the planning board meeting on Tuesday night of this week, basically to contribute input based on the redevelopment plan that Mr. Sullivan had generated. I believe it was draft number 2. And the meeting was basically prompted by action by the council back in December, which authorized the planning board to put together a development plan. There were questions that I had during the meeting. Councilman Kirsch, I know, took notes about public commentary and such. And I was hoping prior to the meeting today that I would be able to see a draft of the revision changes that were made. I looked last night. I didn't see anything on the township website. I looked this morning at around 8 o'clock and several times throughout the day. Mid-morning, I contacted the administrator's office to find out what was going to be provided prior to the meeting this evening. I left messages. I contacted the clerk's office as well to find out if there were updated documents posted. And the bottom line is, until I walked in here tonight, I did not see any redraft of the conclusions and any incorporation of the revision that were discussed publicly at the meeting on Tuesday. Mr. Pappas, after I saw him at the dais just prior to the very start of the meeting, handed me a copy and said that it was posted on the web. And even to this moment, I have looked in the document stash that's on the shared drive on the township website under Google Drive, and it still does not appear there, despite the comments that you made before. I do have the document. I haven't had a chance to review the revisions that were put into it, but in light of the fact that next week on Tuesday, there is a zoning board meeting, and the zoning board meeting is a continuance of the development plan, I'm sorry, the development project that was submitted by the developer and owner of the site, Treetop Development, back in the end of 2023. And the major reason that that application is before the Board of Adjustment next Tuesday is to continue review of that development application. And at the same time, it's before the zoning board because of 2 D variances that were associated with it. One D variance is a use, and the use was to install a 180,000 square foot warehouse, where that was explicitly taken out of the township code in the master plan back in 2022, I believe October of 2022, by passage of ordinance but from the council. So at this point, the only remaining D variance in the application concerns the height issue. And in the M1B zone, which is where this redevelopment area is slated to basically be delineated, it's an area that's bounded on 3 sides by residential properties, and the warehouse is definitely not a use that I know many of our many residents, certainly myself, would like to see in there because of its indefinite operation, 24/7, many diesel trucks and parking and things running. So there are many reasons not to have a warehouse. So I fully endorse the concept of coming up with a redevelopment plan that does not include warehousing and possibly alternative uses that are beneficial, such as residential, senior housing, and even a data center. But there are concerns with all of those because the second D variance that still is open, as is the use right now for this zoning board application, is regarding height. And in this plan that was put together, I guess it must be generation or draft number 3. It still lists that the maximum building height that's now going to be allowed in the redevelopment zone is going to be 4 stories and 50 feet. And that, from my point of view, is somewhat of a problem because the way the property is graded and sloped, it needs to be brought up roughly 10 feet along the eastern border of the property, which would basically mean that to people living along Adamsville Road, that the apparent height of the building could be as high as 60 feet, if that's what it boils down to. Whatever building goes in there, whether or not it's residential or a data center. So that's still a concern, and I believe it is not addressed in the revision that I saw tonight briefly in draft number 3. So that's still a concern, and basically the other significant concern that remains relates to the application next week, the development application for the warehouse, and how it fits against any activity tonight or in subsequent meetings for this council to approve the redevelopment plan that's been submitted? And will it take precedence if it's approved by the board immediately, or and supersede any existing applications that are against standard municipal land use law for the purposes of the zoning board next week and perhaps future meetings of the zoning board to continue to review that application? Or are they two things that could still happen in parallel even if the redevelopment plan is put in place? So that's a basic question for the board here.
Mr. President, if I may, all of these issues were extensively reviewed on Tuesday night at Planning Board.
Right, but
and it is a matter where you may disagree with the action taken by the Planning Board, and you're entitled to that. But any implication that these issues were left open or unaddressed, that's simply not true. And there was an exceptionally thorough hearing on Tuesday night.
Well, you know, respectfully, I saw that you took notes and were genuine.
It wasn't just taking notes. It was taking notes and asking questions on residents' behalf. It wasn't, I'm just not just a note taker. You know, I heard and on your behalf asked questions. It seems as though you're satisfied by many of the answers you received. You're not satisfied by some of the others.
To be honest with you, sitting in the audience here, I couldn't hear anything that was going on up on the dais or between Mr. Sullivan and the dais and other members of the board. Okay, I was relying on subsequent written feedback, which I hope to see prior to this meeting today, to confirm exactly what was discussed. And I'm sorry, but you may think that it was explicit and clear to the public. It was not, at least not to me.
Mr. Kraus, they've also made available on the screens for you as well as any member of the public. They've put up on the screens on the side here for you or any member of the public that's can't locate the redevelopment plan. This is the township.
Adamsville Road to require study and mitigation of communications. It was brought up at the meeting that sometimes data centers can impact, anecdotally, cellular and wireless communications. So require study similar to the acoustic studies for both cellular and wireless communications within the environs of the redevelopment area. And then, although we had acoustic studies and mitigation requirements within the draft that was reviewed on Tuesday, the board resolved that they would like to see that those acoustic and communications interference studies and mitigation be recommended to be included within a redeveloper agreement. So that language has been added. So those provisions and those recommendations were incorporated into the current draft number 3, dated today. And that's where we are tonight. I'll answer any questions that you have related to
Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Pappas have been laboring it along with Mr. Savo for many months. Are there, yes, sir.
Thank you. So we did hear from a resident tonight who raised the question of Woodside Lane on the cul-de-sac emergency vehicle access. Is that something that's in scope here? Is that something we can address at some point down the road? What are your thoughts?
Well, the plan does not specifically require it, nor does it prohibit it. So
Okay.
as any plan for redevelopment is promulgated, that would have to be worked out. Obviously, there would be all the normal reviews, including by the fire official. So depending on what recommendations come out of that.
I think we need to go beyond fire. I think if we're talking emergency, it's something, whether it's law enforcement, EMS, fire, it's not just a fire issue, it's emergency vehicle in general. So thank you.
And the cul-de-sac, it provides flexibility, vendors and garbage collections and things like that. And There was no cul-de-sac before, which often provides the opportunity, unfortunately, for a fire truck to have to back out long periods of time.
Yep.
And the obligation to, speaking of the cul-de-sac.
Addresses that.
The obligation is on the redeveloper to pay for that.
Yeah.
They would have to design it to New Jersey residential site improvement standards and in concert with the municipal engineer to make sure it was going to work for the, because it's going to be your.
And why don't you
it's gonna
bring
be
up
your
your
street.
other issue,
Well, that's incorporated in, but I was going to acknowledge that. But first, you touched on the cellular and mobile communications and the impact study, and I appreciate that. I just dotting I's and crossing T's here. I think I know the answer. If at any point they decided they wanted to put any kind of cell tower on the roof to address performance issues in the area, that would have to go before most likely zoning.
No, it would go before planning.
Right, so any deviations that would be analogous to a D variance, a use variance, or an exceptional height variance would require an amendment to this plan. They cannot get relief from the Board of Adjustment.
So they'd actually have to come to us first and then go for planning board. If 5 years from now they decided they wanted to put a tower, they got to come before us and then go before planning for site plan approval.
Correct.
Okay. And then, as Council President mentioned, I know we got version 2 earlier today, and I appreciate you incorporating my comments just for my fellow council members. Made a recommendation regarding the EV charging stations, that the location of those be subject to our fire officials' approval. EV charging stations, when they first came out, were usually put close to a building as a way to incentivize people that drove electric vehicles to get a premium parking spot. And now over time, there's a big shift to moving EV charging stations away from structures due to the potential of fires and the challenges in extinguishing an EV car fire. While the probability of it's slim, if it does happen, it can be significant impact. So I appreciate you incorporating that recommendation.
Well, Mr. President, just for clarity on that point, so we had version 2 on Tuesday night. We were presented with version 3 earlier today. So Councilman Ring, that's something that will now be in version 4.
If that's for...
The version
Is that correct?
was distributed tonight includes everything.
Oh, so that's in version 3?
It's included, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. President, if I may, and I'll keep this brief. Yes, the planning board met. The planning board met for a lengthy period of time. I was a very diligent note taker. But not only was I a note taker, I was an advocate on behalf of our residents to make sure that each and every one of their concerns was heard. Now, each and every resident may not have walked away satisfied with the outcome, but certainly they hopefully were satisfied that their question was asked, and if their questions were asked and addressed. And I do want to compliment Mr. Sullivan for being very patient in working through a lengthy hearing and answering a sizable number of questions. Now, the one thing I would like to address, though, is some new information has surfaced since the hearing on Tuesday night regarding the common definition of what building height is. In this case, a 50-foot building. So I want to make sure that we clearly air that portion of the conversation, so that there is perfect clarity on the version, presuming that there's support, that we will move forward with tonight via an introduction of an ordinance, and then ultimately the ordinance that we will have a hearing on in a couple of weeks. So can we address that issue?
The building height issue.
The building height, yes.
Yes. Well, subsequent to the planning board discussion the other night and the acknowledgement of the 50-foot height regulation, including all pertinent mechanicals and other things there, we did learn that in order to develop this site with a data center, those elements would have to be on the roof above the 50 feet. And so what we learned was that the mechanicals that may go up there would be HVAC type mechanicals, and that they would be in the range of a 2 to 3 foot height That will that's what we would have, we would expect, we would anticipate. In addition, because of the architectural, acoustic, and visual screening, those screens would have to be, somewhat higher than that. So they would be in the range of 5 to 6 feet in height. And so in order to accommodate those, then there would have to be a provision that allowed for mechanical equipment and its associated screening and access, such as a stairwell access or something, because you do need to have rooftop access in some form, whether it's an elevator or whether it's stairs, that would require a total of allowance of about 7 feet. Okay, so most of the elements would be in the range of 5 to 6 feet, but then maybe a stair access might be 7 feet. So that is something that the 50-foot building cannot be built without those. Those things would be necessary.
And if I can just elaborate, because this is, incremental information that was not available on Tuesday. I've been on land use boards for a long time. Every once in a while you learn something new. The proposal that you've put to us in order to allow for the proper construction of the building and still maintain the rights of the local residents. The recommendation, if I'm not mistaken, is to ensure ensure two things. One is that the mechanicals are as centrally located on this roof as possible, and that they be at least a certain amount set back from the edge of the building, meaning that essentially they would be invisible from the street or from near the building. You would have to be of such a distance away from the building to see these things that they would essentially be de minimis. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've made some suggestions on how that could be accomplished by requiring setbacks from the building edge for these elements, and that they would be related to the size of the building, such that if you have a longer facade, they have to go back further.
And I believe that what you've drafted relates to percentages.
Correct.
So, again, if it's a longer building than it is wide, the mechanicals, in addition to the guidance of keeping it as centrally located as possible, would also be proportionately further away as you get a longer side.
That's correct.
Right. The other thing which prompts this, and ultimately this is potentially a positive, is if some amount of the HVAC equipment is on the roof, that would mean that less of the equipment is on the ground.
It could mean that, yes.
And if less of the equipment is on the ground, there is less noise that needs to be mitigated on the ground.
Yes.
There is mitigation anticipated on the roof. And in addition, by its nature, you're 50 feet up in the air. You're not at ground level. You're not as close to being able to hear and notice that at street level. Is that correct?
Yeah, it increases the distance.
Okay.
And it also reduces the ground cover.
And reduces the ground cover, presumably maintains the ability for more, impervious coverage.
It could, yes.
The ability for water to naturally drain.
Could.
Okay. All right. And just so that there's clarity on this point, had we had this thorough of a conversation Tuesday night, again, this is a process. We had version 2. And then version 2 became version 3. Version 3 is now going to become version 4. That is the iterative process that we're under here. As we get new information, as we absorb more knowledge, that's how we're advancing this project so that it can be, I believe, as positive as possible. I spoke about this on Tuesday night. The balance between this landowner's rights to develop this property along with the neighbor's rights to not have their enjoyment of their properties infringed upon. So I stated on Tuesday night that I believe the plan meets those, is a balance between those two. I further believe that if we had had this conversation about the limited amount toward the middle of the building with shielding that is going to be above the 50 feet. I spoke to the planning board chairman. I asked his honest opinion. If this had come out on Tuesday night, would the result have been any different? He believes absolutely not. I know if I had had this information Tuesday night, I would have been very comfortable with what we've just discussed.
Thank you.
The
Councilman
50-foot height, the 50-foot height that's being referred to, is that for the data center?
It's for any building.
Any building? How many floors is the data center anticipated to be?
2.
Why can't then the height of the building be shorter or be lower to accommodate the elements on top?
I don't know all the technical aspects of the data center, but I do know that they require the full height of those stories.
Well, I mean, it's important to know why it is that the building can't meet the 50-foot height inclusive of these elements that you refer to. What is the technical reason why a 2-floor building for a data center, I know that data centers have certainly concerns when it comes to heat dissipation, but plenty of data centers are 12 to 14 feet in height inside space. I'm just trying to grasp why it can't comply with the 50-foot height.
I don't have all the technical information on why it cannot.
I can introduce something else.
Why am I?
When we discussed the 50-foot height, Mr. Sullivan came to us and said he is recommending that there be a 50-foot building. During the conversation, there was a belief that we went down the path of saying, okay, it's 50 feet. We did not go down the path, as we, in hindsight, should have, that said, oh, a 50-foot building needs as much as 7 feet for these other items in the core, potentially. Particularly because the thing that's really the tallest is going to be the stairway that gets there. You know, the commentary was that the units themselves are 2 to 3 feet. In order to shield the 2 to 3 feet, that's how you get to 5 to 6. But in order to have a stairway that's reaching them, that's really the singular thing that's going to go 7. So, you know, again, if all these details had been known on Tuesday, I would have been very comfortable saying, okay, it is a 50-foot building, and it is a 50-foot building. But there are support structures. This is not going to be, the whole thing is going to have a 6-foot buffering solution. This is intended to be just the very core of the building, sufficiently inside of the footprint so that it is essentially invisible.
It doesn't really matter, you know, if it's that it's only 6 foot and it's only the staircase. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a 50-foot cap, period. And if they want to exceed that 50-foot cap, even by a quarter of an inch, there has to be a reason for it. Wait, stop cutting me off.
All right.
So I would like to know what it is technically that makes this project unique, and that why it is that they need to go over the 50-foot.
Well, I can only speak to what was presented to me in terms of the conceptual, the prototype for this, and it was a 50-foot prototype. I did not investigate what the technical rationale was for the height and how it's divided into stories. I think, you know, in hindsight, there's an assumption that any building is going to have HVAC, some sort of mechanical equipment on top of it.
Yeah, but the law, our zoning laws, take into consideration these issues. The caps are the caps, and it includes these additional elements that you describe on top of the building.
This is the zoning law, though. We're making zoning law here.
I would say this, that it's very common in many ordinances, and many ordinances go back a long time and some are more recent. It's very common in ordinances to allow for mechanicals above the roof like this. And there are exceptions, and they call them elevator penthouses or access penthouses and things like that. And they're generally up to a certain height they are allowed in many, many ordinances. So it's not unusual to do this. This is not an unusual thing. So I don't know if that's helpful to you, but in my world, it's very common for those exceptions to exist. And one of the things that we're doing exactly what we're doing here. We are pushing them back away from the building edge because we don't want them to be perceived to as little as possible, and also to push them down as far as possible and screen them.
Are there any other questions?
In all candor, if this had come out on Tuesday night, it would have been included.
Correct.
It was not. Again, I've been on land use boards in this town now for 15, 16 years, whatever the amount is. I pride myself on the amount of knowledge I have. I also am humble in saying I continue to learn something new. The planner has recommended a 50-foot building. He meant, and I believe intended, a 50-foot building. The roof will be 50 feet from the ground. We, on Tuesday night, I think we got a little technical in applying a standard that was not intended in the report. Had we had this knowledge on Tuesday night, and again, I spoke to the planning board chair, we discussed this, we believe we'd have the same result.
Who prepared the planner report? Who prepared the planner report?
There was no planner report. I mean the development. If I misspoke, I mean the development plan. So again, in the conversation, we interpreted 50 foot a bit differently, is what it came down to.
Yeah, I think this particular issue has been discussed ad nauseum. Are there any other questions? If not, I would.
If I may, if my colleagues are done, I'll just finish my last point from earlier before things twisted a little bit. I think we've got a piece of property here, and we have some individuals that want to develop it and have the right to develop it. And I think an area of redevelopment and a developer's agreement for this site gives us the best protection to have skin in the game and manage overall what goes there. I think moving forward and introducing this is the right thing. And I guess with that, if you're looking for a motion to introduce it, so moved.
Could I have a second, please, on introduction? I'll make it. Roll call,
Well, before you do that, I just think we need to be really clear on what we are introducing. Because it is version 3, but in addition to version 3, we will be incorporating the content that was delivered, the incremental paragraph, and perhaps we should read this for the record.
Is this in the document already?
It is not.
It is not.
Okay.
So
What are you moving exactly?
We're closed to the public.
Have you read a resolution or ordinance that we're introducing?
have I?
Anybody?
Absolutely.
I mean, it has been read?
Yes. What we are doing here is acknowledging the change that has surfaced in the time since the planning board's here.
Which resolution is this or ordinance?
11A, it's an ordinance, it's
11A?
not a resolution.
Thank you.
I just think that, for the purpose of everybody's knowledge, there will be an incremental paragraph added to this ordinance.
Would you like to read it, Mike?
And I'm willing to read it. Building height shall be measured to the highest point of the roof. Mechanical equipment and structures for the purpose of roof access are permitted on a roof and may extend no higher than 7 feet above the roof elevation. Any structures or equipment that are located on a roof shall be located such that they are located as close to the building's physical center as possible. In no case shall rooftop structures and equipment be located closer to the roof's edge than a distance equal to 10% of the total length of the building facade to which it is closest. For example, rooftop equipment located closest to a building facade with a length 200 feet would have minimum required setback 20 feet from the facade/roof edge. All roof-mounted mechanical equipment shall be screened both visually and acoustically with an architectural element that is uniform and designed to be integral with the architecture of the building. So essentially, we take version 3, we add that paragraph. That is what we are introducing, and presuming that there's enough support, what we will have a hearing on in 2 weeks.
Are we voting on the resolution that was handed to us at the dais today, or are we voting on the resolution that was provided in our packet?
The resolution that was handed.
It's an ordinance.
Ordinance.
An ordinance, but it was the one that was handed out tonight.
Maybe for the benefit, Councilman, or Council President, I know it's been done, but should reread the heading from 11A, so everyone's on the same page.
I will be happy to reread 11A.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater creating sections 126-321.8 of the Township of Bridgewater Code entitled Route 22 Special Development District to establish a set of permitted principal uses, developmental standards, and related provisions for the redevelopment and designated on lots 1.02, 1.03, 1.04, 2, and 2.1 in Block 221 on the Township's tax map.
Okay, I'm understanding my confusion. I don't have this ordinance. The ordinance that was provided to me in the packet has a different heading. I mean, it's about the same thing, but it's a different ordinance. I don't have this ordinance.
Sir.
If I may, make it different ordinances. I know we got one here. And
You don't have this?
the administrator is trying to seek some clarity here with a member of the attorney.
That's not what he read.
Make a motion to table this.
That's not what he read.
This evening and move forward with the resolutions.
Well, tabling is generally to another date. We can hold this off. I would have no problem with deferring this until we complete the rest of the agenda. How's that?
That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
However
Yeah, if we table it, we have to table it to another date. Okay. Okay. Well, 12A, we're holding. I'm sorry, 11A. Moving to resolutions, 12A, appointment to the Bridgewater Raritan Municipal Alliance, Amelia Dominguez. Amelia is a health consultant. She works for the Middlebrook Health Consortium, of which we are a member. She has attended the Alliance meetings in the past, and I would like to have her as a permanent member, and she's glad to do it. And more importantly, her boss really encourages that. So, second?
Second.
All those in favor of 12A? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call,
No.
please. Roll call.
All right, Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Okay, moving to B, amending Resolution 25-01-30-066, which originally authorized the release of $32,428 in safety and stabilization guarantees, and increasing the released amount to $35,142.25, and the acceptance of the site improvement for Northbridge Woodlawn LLC, Blocks 525 and Lot 2 at 81 Woodlawn Avenue.
Moved.
Second, roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Okay, moving to C, and I want to refer back to authorizing qualified firms for professional legal services for legal matters requiring special counsel for Bridgewater Township for the year 2025. I'm going to announce the names of the successful firms that replied to this. They were Antonelli and Cantor, Bell, Shivas and Bell, Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole and Giblin, Rudderman and Roth, Laveri, Selvaggi, and Cohn. Those were the 5. Are there any questions about these?
Just to clarify for the public's benefit, this is not awarding any
Right, this is
contracts
just-
to them, similar to what we do with engineering. This was put out for an RFP. They've provided rates, and based upon a review, we're pre-qualifying them that if we need to hire them in the future, that they are basically available in our bullpen.
Right, a request for proposal is when you go out to the public, and they would be a successful list, they could be utilized as necessary.
I'll move 12C.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. I'm sorry, we're closed to the public, sir. D is resolution to extend the 2025 municipal budget deadline as per local finance notice LFN-2024-20. As I stated earlier, this moves the introduction timeline to in our case, the March 31st, because the specific deadline is after that which is published, and adoption would be for the 30th day of May. March, April?
I'll comment.
April. Okay.
Comment, I know we're still waiting to, the Finance Committee is still waiting for a budget from the administration. I know there's obviously some questions about some of these dates, but as I understand it from having reviewed the local finance board notice, this is a kind of a procedural requirement from the state, so I'll move it.
Has the Finance Committee started to have discussions
No.
with the administration?
As I just said, we're still waiting for a budget from the administration.
Waiting for a budget is different than having conversations about budgetary conversations.
There have been no conversations to date.
Thank you, sir.
I got a motion on D. A second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
I have a comment. I'm not very happy about this, but I feel like we have no choice, because if we don't vote in favor of this resolution, the town will not be in compliance, and that would not be a good thing for the township or its residents. So we really have no choice. I know, see Mr. Pappas isn't here, but I guess for the record, I would strongly urge the administration to get this governing body a budget ASAP, and certainly to meet its deadline that's now being imposed by this amended date. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Howard, I think we're ready for roll call.
Yeah, we're ready for a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. I'm going to call a 10-minute recess at this point so we can have some additional information on that other item. So we shall reconvene in 10 minutes. I'm going to ask the clerk to again call the roll.
Yes. I'm sorry, here.
Here.
Present.
Here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been a discussion. I'm going to reread 11A because the document itself has been produced by our legal staff as an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater adopting a redevelopment plan for blocks 221, lots 1.02, 1.03, 1.04, 2, and 2.01, also known as 1200 Route 22, and adding definitions to sections 126-2. We have had a lengthy discussion on
Based upon everything, just to dot i's and cross t's, I will restate my introduction of said ordinance.
Excellent. Okay, we have a motion. May I have a second, please, on the stated 11A?
I'll second.
Okay.
Council President,
Sir.
if I just may say briefly, the discrepancy here is quite simple. Two ordinance revisions were done by Alexander Fisher, my deputy. The original ordinance was prepared by Bill Savo, Township Attorney Emeritus. They use a different format when they do these things. And Alex's format, that's why you'll see that the second ordinance, 11A, which Grace circulated, which incorporates amendments to the redevelopment plan, is different, but it is functionally the same. It incorporates those elements by reference. And we must also, conferring here with Administrator Pappas, incorporate the language that Councilman Kirsch read earlier as well.
Excellent. We have a motion, we have a second. We've had discussion.
Well, Mr. President, just the briefest of additional discussion is that the result is that paragraph that I read but will not reread will become version 4 of the redevelopment plan. That is what will be the heart of the ordinance.
Okay.
As prepared by Michael Sullivan, who's here tonight.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. We have a second.
I have a comment. Thank you, Mr. Council President. I will not be voting to support this ordinance for the following 3 reasons. Number 1, I don't think we have enough information. I'm concerned that the fact that we don't know why the builder needs 50 feet raises questions that perhaps not enough information has been provided to have this redevelopment area fit the needs of the builder, balanced with balanced with what would the quality of life for the township, and the property should be the zoning requirements should be mitigated to the least amount required. So I don't think I'm concerned that not enough information has been sought and that we don't have adequate information to make that decision. Number 2, when this matter initially came before me, when I had to vote on designating this property and needing redevelopment, at that time I was informed that this property was going to have a data center. At no time was I ever told that there was a residential component to this property. When I voted at the time to deem the property in need of redevelopment, I clearly stated that it was based upon the information that I was provided to date and that I didn't want to see additional things. And additional things certainly have popped up. So I'm not very pleased that that information was not provided to us when this matter first came before us. And number 3, and perhaps most important, revisions to this ordinance were made today, one could say at the last minute. And I feel like this is something that's important. The public is entitled to have access to this ordinance before the meeting. The public would be entitled to be informed of this matter. These matters are very important. They have a tremendous impact on Bridgewater's quality of life and our character. The public is entitled to know. They're entitled to be aware of what we're going to vote on. And then after they read it, to be here and at this council meeting and provide us feedback. So for those 3 reasons, I will vote no.
Thank you. Roll call, please. 11A.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Public hearing.
Sorry, the public hearing, yes.
Public hearing and final action for this ordinance is scheduled for April 24, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance is available on the township website, the bulletin board, and the clerk's office.
I'm sorry, the date once again, April?
April 20.
So the public has,
Oh, extra time.
No, I need 10 days to put this on the news.
Okay.
It's a land.
Okay, that,
so the public has plenty of time to review the document prior to the public hearing.
So I guess my request, so that there is no confusion moving forward, if Mr. Sullivan can get a version 4, hopefully as early as tomorrow, to the administration, and we can be absolutely certain that that is publicly available on our website. That would then give the public, if my math is right, 5 weeks between now and April 24th. Correct? Okay.
that concludes our regular agenda through items 12. We're now up to item 13, which is a closed session for litigation.
Council President, Administrator, it's just the one litigation matter, correct? We don't have anything else? I believe, good night, Michael.
Thank you.
I believe, wish John had stuck around for it. I suggest we put this off till April 3rd, just because.
Easily done.
Yeah, I think I see a few of my colleagues have packed up
Okay.
already, and I know it's late.
All right, then.
Councilman Norgalis?
Yes, sir.
Since you're chairing the meeting and Councilman Cordella's not here, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I think that's a wonderful motion. Could we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Only a nuisance matter anyway. The only reason I added it was because you asked about it last time.
Oh my God.
And John was supposed to stick around, and he didn't, which I don't blame him for. So